Hello, fellow tankers. This is Dauntless, and welcome to another episode of Dauntless Tactics. Now, the map that we're playing on, if I can pronounce it, it's Studzianki. I don't even know. And we're playing in our 1390, the Tier 9 French light tank. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the lineup before we decide where we're going to go. So, in Phase 1, in the setup, there are a few places that we could go as a light tank, but first we need to make sure that we're looking at both teams and the composition. So right off the bat, the first thing that you're probably going to notice is that there are 3 light tanks on either side. Now, why is this important? Well, we are in a light tank ourselves, and so any spotting that we could potentially get could be cut in half or be non-existent depending on how our light tanks play. And then also simultaneously, depending on how aggressive we want to be, there's a good chance we could get countered. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is the amount of tank destroyers and heavy tanks that are on either side. Really, there are no medium tanks other than one, and we're not going to be too worried about the TVP. So where do we want to go? A good strategy is to push the A line, right? Take the hill, get some early spots on the heavy tanks as they drive across. The reason I'm going to avoid doing that is just because they have a lot of light tanks, and most likely something is going to push the hill. And if they do, I'm going to get countered, and I don't want to risk getting hit by the 4005 or anything like that. And realistically, I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of shots in, right? What are some of my other choices? Okay, well, I could sit up here in a bush somewhere. There are a couple bushes that you can sit in and spot things as they push across. You could also sit somewhere in the middle and try to get spots on light tanks as they go through. So we're going to just start the game, and I'm going to decide to go to just sit up on this null here. And the reason I'm going to do this is tank destroyers typically don't have the greatest view range unless they're running binos, and even then they're slower, they're going to take time to set up, and they could take a little bit extra time if they are running binos to activate their view range. So what I'm going to do is, during this initial setup phase, I'm going to just prolong it a little bit by sitting here and seeing if I can spot any of the light tanks. It's very, very common that light tanks will push across the open, and knowing their speed and seeing where the light weight is, I realize that the light tanks are not going to push across the open, and so I need to get myself into more of an aggressive position for this setup phase. And I'm going to just pause the game here for a second. Let's take a look at the map and see what our team is doing. We have an object 705A behind us, we have a T110E4, and we have the leopard and the tortoise. Now, most likely the leopard isn't going to support us, right? He's so slow, he might be able to get up to here to help out, but most likely not. The 705 is actually right behind us, and so I have a feeling that he's probably going to come brawl. Other than that, what do we have helping us? Not a whole lot. The leopard potentially, but we have a lightweight situation up ahead of us, and I mean that quite literally. 2 T54 lightweights are fighting each other, right? They're both equally matched. Ours is losing a little bit. But now I have to make a decision, just looking at the minimap, and it's a snap decision. Do I want to commit? Because if I go down there and I commit, I'm an autoloader, and if I clip this guy out and something else rushes me, I'm going to die and I'm going to throw my game. So looking at the minimap, do you guys think it's a wise choice? The biggest thing I'm worried about countering me are the other light tanks, because as we analyzed in the beginning of the game, they don't have really any medium tanks other than the TVP. That could potentially be a problem for us. But the odds of one medium tank pushing in here, somewhat small. And if you look at the map, actually, both light tanks have been lit on the north, and the lightweight is right here. So if I push in here, statistically speaking, the odds of me surviving are very high, and the benefits I'm going to reap from taking the middle and being able to spot across is going to outweigh the risk. And so I decide in that moment, okay, other light tanks are not going to be a problem. I'm just going to go in and help our guy out. It's going to give me a bunch of damage, right? It's going to give me a whole clip of damage, hopefully about 1,000 if we roll high. 970, so not quite 100. And I'm just praying here that our guy is going to be able to take that guy out, just because if he somehow survives, it could be potentially bad for us. And if you pay attention to the map, looks like Mr. Leopard is pushing in, which is awesome. They have the 50 TP and the M103, but both are slow tanks, and they're not able to take the peninsula, or not the peninsula, take this trench here. So I know I'm no longer lit, and I'm going to peek here and see if I can get any spots or any lights on anything over here. Now, it's really important that if you get lit here, that you fall back as soon as you can. I realized that I didn't get lit after my first shot, or else I would have fallen back. And so I go ahead and just put 4 rounds towards that E4. Unfortunately, only 2 of them connected, but hey, damage is still damage. And I'm just going to sit here and kind of just wait to see what's happening. I have broadside shots on the AMX M451, and he is really not aware of my presence, and so hopefully I'll be able to get a shot into him. Now, this is something that I was looking at when I was getting ready to clip this guy. Always pay attention to the minimap, guys, because, again, the second we took this trench, we entered phase 2, right? We're holding them off, but things are starting to change, and I can already get a feeling that we are going to be pushed. The 705A is starting to make a push, right? Ours, we don't really have a whole lot of support. The Leopard is paper. The 54 lightweight is almost dead. The Object and the Tortoise are kind of sitting back, and this guy here doesn't have shots into these guys as long as they're in the city. So we have to make a decision here what we're going to do, because if we're going to make it out of here alive, there's no way we're going to brawl with a 705A and make it out alive. So something I want you to pay attention to. Look at the minimap. Watch what's happening here. We are officially in phase 3 as of this moment. The shift has happened, the tilt. They have taken the trench with force, and we can't back it up, and we're not going to be able to defend ourselves against this. So what I can do is at least empty out my clip and hopefully hurt the 705A a little bit, and then just get out. I realize that they're pushing in now, and now is my chance to escape. So I'm going to look behind me, make sure that there's nothing, and while these guys are so busy harvesting our other poor guys, I push. Our 705A dies, and all of a sudden we're down 4 vehicles, and this is very bad. And I decide I need to get out of here. So this is where it's really important, right? Recognizing that tilt early. We're only 3 minutes into the game and the tilt has already happened. They have the map control now, and they've taken it with force, right? It's still phase 2, even if we own the trench, because they haven't made a move yet. But the second they take it and destroy 4 of our guys, we're kind of in a situation where we need to play more defensively. So I fall back. I realize we have an E4 behind me, and the Tortoise is there as well. And I sit myself in this bush here, and I'm taking an initial defensive position because I need to get assistance, and I need to spot these guys. We have an artillery, we have a Tortoise, and we have an E4. Unfortunately, our E4 does get lit. That's a poor position for him to be. He should have moved earlier than that. But we still have a lot of meat on our team. We have a lot of heavy tanks sitting in the middle of the map. We have some big tank destroyers, some big guns over on the north. And so even though things are looking kind of bleak, we still haven't lost. I realize that that 705 is getting about 300 meters to me, and I realize that I'm going to get myself lit, and if I sit there too long, I could potentially get hit. If I wait for my 6th sense icon to activate, then it'll be too late, right? Because it takes 2 seconds for you to realize that you're lit. And so I decide, okay, I need to just keep moving. I'm gonna, as I thought I was unlit there. Apparently I was lit the entire time. So I took a huge high roll from there 268, and I am down to a 1-shot for pretty much anything. So I have to be super careful how I play this. But again, I realize that when I get lit, there's a potential of taking damage, and you always have to risk exposing yourself when you relocate, right? And so I think it was the right call to relocate when I did, and now we have the enemy in a situation where they have to make a decision. Just from me sitting up there in that bush, I was able to get almost 3,000 assists, and that helped our team tremendously because they had just all pushed in. Without me getting that kind of assistance, it could have hindered our team because they could have just rolled in and killed this Tortoise. Tortoise is at 300 HP, right? He's a 1-shot. Our G-Sor is spotting, and I'm spotting too. This is personally one of my favorite locations to spot on this map when you're being pushed aggressively, just because it allows you to really extend your view range to all of this area, and we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. We are technically winning as of now, right? We have the lead. Our heavy tanks were successful in killing some of the tanks on the north flank, and now we're just going to fall back. But if we had stayed and committed to that trench initially, we certainly would have died, and things might not be going as smoothly as they are now. I'm not saying that my presence is what's causing us to win this game, but definitely I am providing good intel to my team. Right now, I'm not really providing a whole lot of information just because our Tortoise is up there and he is spotting his own damage here. But he could potentially die at any moment, and if I wasn't here, our tank destroyers in the north would not be able to assist. Alright, so this phase 3 is actually going super well. I'm not saying that me making that decision to get out was, the deciding factor in our win, but it did look pretty glim. It looked pretty glum for a bit there, and we need to realize that we are super low health still, and one shot from the Conway, the object, and even if the TVP rolls high, we could potentially die. And so we're just waiting, and we're going to wait for the team to make the move, or the enemy team to make the move. The TVP pushes in, and I realize, alright, I'm going to just farm some damage off of this guy. Unfortunately, we rolled kind of low on both of our shells, and we weren't able to confirm the kill. But overall, guys, we already have 3,500 assists. We're at 2,300 damage, and things are looking quite good. But we have to take into consideration that our G-Sor is pretty close to being dead. Our Tortoise is also very, very dead, and this could go either way very quickly. We just lost our 704. He was lost in battle. I'm not exactly sure how he managed to do that. Actually, he might have shot HE into a building and killed himself if he was super low health. Regardless, he was the one spamming the map like crazy earlier. He was being really annoying. But we need to get a win for our team, and I can't afford to expose myself too soon or too suddenly, because if I make one mistake against their 1390, I'm going to die, and I'm going to leave our team with the G-Sor. And I'm not sure if he is going to be able to carry this. The AMX is in the north now, and so is the Conway. So really the only thing we have to worry about is the object. But he snapped me earlier, so I know that he's a competent player, and the last thing I want to do is mess with somebody that could snap me like that, potentially. So the Tortoise is asking me to follow him, and I'm thinking, okay, that's probably a good idea. At first, I'm kind of thinking, okay, maybe I'll take the hill, just because the Conway is over there, and the Conway is an easy target. Going into the city with the Tortoise, again, I was thinking about, following up on his request, but the best thing to do in this situation is to go as sneaky as possible, and with the lack of bushes and cover in the city, it's just, if that guy is sitting anywhere, I could potentially die very quickly. So we need to go and take out this Conway, but now he is already dead. So the next thing that we're going to focus on is the artillery and or the object 268. Either of those is going to be great. Potentially we could get up to 7,000 damage here with the remaining health of that 268 and the arty, because I believe both are still close to full health. And if we can get all that assistance, it's going to be an awesome game for us. So I'm pushing in. If artillery was hiding on this side of the map, he would most likely be here, but my guess is that he relocated over to here the second he saw his team push in. So I'm just checking just in case, but let's just pause really quick here. So again, reading the situation, the object 268 is not lit. He fell back a long time ago, apparently. If I was the 268, where would be the safest place I could hide? Well, this building offers some amazing cover here, and if it was me, I would be hiding here. I have to be aware of that when I push up. He's not a slouch. He's been cautious. He already has 2 kills. He hit me on the move. He's a good player. And a good player is not going to just expose himself and camp here. Not to mention, he could have probably killed our Badger if he was sitting up high like this. And so now we have to be careful, right? We're going to win this. I'm pretty sure we're going to win this, but I still want that extra experience. And so how are we going to move forward with this? We are going to peek, obviously, and try to spot this guy. But it's important not to peek too soon, because again, a lot of light tank players will find themselves in this situation and just think, I just need to spot everything for our team, and they rush in before anybody's in position to do anything. If this guy is hiding back here, our Badger and our 4005 are going to have to be over the tracks, or at least on this island to get shots. And so I'm going to just knock this tree down here. That was actually kind of a mistake, but I'm going to peek. And it looks like the 268 killed our Badger. And so I don't think I was the one that spotted him, but now I know exactly where he is. He is still very, very healthy. I will not be able to clip him. And also, if I get lit, artillery is probably going to punish me for it. So I got myself lit there, and so that guy is probably activating his binoculars as of now, and we need to be really careful. If you notice, our Tortoise is very low health, our Super Conqueror is very low health, our 4005 is now in position to fire, and so that's what I needed to know, right? Knowing that you have someone that could shoot at the targets, and that's why I'm still holding off. The Super Conqueror and the Tortoise are now getting into position. If I spot this guy, he might be looking at me, right? And so I want to make sure the second he's lit that he's going to get punished for firing at me if he chooses to do so. So I'm just waiting. I'm still biding my time because I really don't want to get punished. I am peeking over and I'm being extra cautious. We don't want to throw this game, guys. Artillery could easily kill any of our other guys, and I'm going to use this bush that's right in front of me. I'm going to drive up just a little bit, and I'm going to peek over, and I'm going to see if I'm lit, and I am not. So I realize, okay, I can do this. Our guys are waiting for me. Our artillery is now in position to punish him as well, and I'm going to drive down to this bush. I don't see anything, and so I realize, okay, if I'm not seeing him, he's probably in that bush, but I'm just going to have to take the risk here because we only have 4 minutes on the clock, and I don't want our guys pushing in rashly. So this guy looks like he is looking at me, but thankfully our guys were able to knock him out. I just used the cover of this cliff here, and now the only thing left is artillery. I'm going to just duck behind this building here just because I know the only place the artillery could potentially be is here. He blind fires me and he misses, and now I'm going to charge in. I really want that extra 500 assist damage, and these guys have to get through the bushes in order to spot, and so I should be able to spot them, spot the artillery before they do. Hopefully the arty is here. Come on, come on. And there he is. We put one into him, and the Super Conqueror finishes him off. So overall, guys, that was a really good example on how staying alive, reading the map, and playing defensively can really be rewarding, especially when you're in a light tank, right? Predicting where the enemies were going to go and taking the peninsula, or no, I keep calling it that, taking the trench early and getting that extra damage on the T-54 lightweight and taking him out of the game, getting a few shots into the E4 and, you know, basically showing the team where he is. But then realizing when the situation turned sour and backing off. And again, that tilt into phase 3 happened way early, and that can happen. And if I just stayed there and tried to brawl it out or tried to escape when the timing wasn't correct, I could have died. And then without me getting that 4,000 assist and that 3,000 damage, who knows if we would have won this or not. Again, I have a feeling that our team could have possibly carried this game without my help, but I certainly did have a large impact as well. So hopefully you guys found that replay useful. I certainly had fun playing this game and commenting on it. If you liked this content, let me know down below what you think, and if there are certain maps or tanks you're struggling with that you would like to see a good analysis of, please let me know down below. And also, please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next episode.